All right, good morning. Welcome
Um,
to the webinar regarding the filling the skills gap, looking at the level three machining technician apprenticeship and engineering apprenticeships in general. My name's Paul Kennedy. I work for the growth company Education Skills in the area of engineering and manufacturing. Today we've got Kevin from Wims Engineering and Paul Howard, one of our education skills assessors in engineering. We're going to be looking at the skills gap, looking in terms of um, why it's there, how can we fill it, getting some insight from Kevin into a machining business, how they're coping with trying to fill the skills gap, looking at what solutions businesses can do in terms of a good strategic approach in trying to help get the right person in place and how they can keep that person for longer. And then we're going to speak to Paul Howard regarding what makes a good apprentice, how businesses can help keep their apprentices longer, but from an assessor point of view, because Paul spends quite a bit of time with our apprentices. So we'll look at the skills gap first in terms of the engineering sector. In general, there's a 76% engineering employers face recruitment challenges impacting economic growth and innovation across the sectors. There's a 20% of engineers are retiring over the next 5 years, which is going to create a loss of knowledge and skills gap in the industry. So we really need to encourage businesses to have a succession plan in place. Future demands by 2030, there's going to be over 59,000 extra jobs available. Around 1 million additional engineers are going to be required across the board. I know in general, at the minute in nuclear, there's over 1,000 vacancies in welding. So we need to try to bridge that skills gap. How can we do that with apprentices using good workforce development strategies that are vital to align education and industrial needs for the vacancies that are there at the minute and in the future? So one of the reasons we've got Kevin in today is because the machining in general is one of the areas where there's quite a bit of a skills gap. So unfortunately, with learners, machining is not viewed as a very glamorous industry compared to the likes of the maintenance and the welding, but it pays just as much, and it's quite valuable in terms of the knowledge in terms of engineering. So when we look at the skills gap, there's a CNC machining shortage across the board. So 60% of machine shops report difficulty filling CNC roles, with many unable to operate at full capacity due to lack of skilled workers. For example, recently in the Midlands, there was 39 CNC positions that were advertised, but only 5 new CVs entered the market. So there's quite clearly a very talented shortage of employees. So there's a decline in apprenticeship pipeline. Engineering apprenticeship starts in machining have dropped by 25% since 2017-18, reducing the flow of new machinists into the industry. In particular, precision, it's impacted the precision engineering area. 89% of precision engineering companies report shortages with CNC programming and five-axis machining among the hardest roles to fill. Over 173,000 vacancies were expected in precision engineering by 2027. So we've really got to try and find the new blood to come into the area while making it attractive to learners to get involved. So how can we help with the demographic pressure? More than 40% of skilled engineers at age 50 or over, creating a massive problem because all that skills and knowledge will disappear when they retire. So there's an urgent need for succession planning and apprenticeships. So when we talk about succession planning, it's reviewing your business in terms of your employees, recognizing is there going to be a massive drop off in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of actual retirement? How can we replace that? And having a good strategic strategy in place. So what I wanted to do is give you an example of a business that is really flying, we're doing really well in terms of business and looking to recruit more apprenticeships over the next few years, hopefully, Kevin. So I've invited Kevin from Wims Engineering to come and have a chat with us today. So Kevin, can you give us a brief description of your company and your role?
Yeah, sure. Good morning, Paul. Good morning,
Morning.
Paul. So Wims Engineering's been in existence for 43 years now. We supply machinery, designs in-house for the food industry. So customers that we might supply to would be McVitie's Biscuits or Cadbury's, or Greggs the Bakers. But really, 80% of our work is export. So a lot of our machines go to huge blue chip multinational companies around the world. So we have machines at the moment going to France, to Spain, to Colombia, to Brazil. And all these machines are to mass produce sugar confectionery mostly. So like chocolates and marshmallows, jams, jellies. For well, all our existence really, we've put a high emphasis on being able to produce the machines in-house. So we don't subcontract much. We put all our emphasis on the CNC machine tools, the build quality, and the assembly on this Wims site. That's not normal in the industry nowadays, but people tend to sort of subcontract out quite a lot of their work. But we find that we have a high degree of control over, like our design process if we were able to produce ourselves.
Okay.
So yeah, my role is well, for many years I was production manager. We had 5 or 6 CNC vertical machining centres. We grew into a 4th axis, 5th axis sort of workshop maybe 10 years ago. And then since then we've heavily invested in Haas CNC machine tools, which have the trunnion tables for 5-axis work. We're constantly looking at producing quicker turnarounds, higher throughputs. But because it's a niche sort of machine, where we're not making big runs, so typically a programmer might produce 10 programs in a day. So yeah, that's a little bit about Wims Engineering. But we're a development company as well as just a machine shop.
Yeah, you're on the edge of a bit of your in terms of the technology, aren't you, in terms of production for producing the items for the manufacturing companies. You do a lot of testing, don't you?
We do, yeah. So we're just having to do what we call a factory acceptance test here in the workshop. So we produce either a dummy rig, or we produce the machine itself, and then we test it here before it will even be accepted on site. So, and if anything needs changing, then it goes back to the design in the workshop. So yeah, it's development as well.
How long have you been part of Wims Engineering yourself then?
Since I was about this big. But yeah, my father started it 43 years ago. So I say I was production manager for many years, stepped into a sales role 15 years ago, and my brother runs the sort of the design house and the design shop and sort of the day-to-day running.
Were you an apprentice by chance?
Yes, I was an apprentice. I was lucky to have I've still got my toolbox where I got Apprentice of the Year award for the first year, and then that was through sort of Stockport College at the time. But we've always had apprentices at Wims Engineering. We've always had one or two at least on the go all the time, whether they're first years or whether they're nearing the end.
Yeah, good. That's good to hear. So, in terms of the things I mentioned before, from the machining point of view, in terms of the skills gap, has the shortage of skilled machinists affected your business operations at all, and any growth plans that you've had in the past?
It has, because it's a tight market now for skilled machinists. Skilled machinists know where to go, so they can command higher wages nowadays. And then we're having to sort of help retain that staff with offering more than just money. So we have to sort of supply good training, good machine tools, good quality of work, and then for that end, like all our sort of machinists have been sent on programming courses, and we try to multi-skill our staff, so nobody's just pigeonholed into a single role. Otherwise, like people's feet start walking, and
yeah. So
so
by,
yeah,
by
there's
so
and so that's and then so sometimes that might transpose into like a slightly higher staff turnover than we would like,
yeah.
for some of the more senior or technical roles. So yeah, and we see this in not just an engineering industry, but for our industries that we supply to as well. So they will have engineers as well
Yeah.
in sort of the food factories. They will have apprentices as well, and they struggle even in a food factory plant to get people.
Yeah, I think it's not unique to just machine. I think in general, because there's a skills gap, there's quite a demand for experience and knowledge. And obviously, if you can afford it and pay the top dollar, you're going to attract people. Unfortunately, it's just unfortunate nature of the business. So, in terms of apprentices, I mean, you've mentioned you've always had apprentices at Wims. How have you found they've improved your business?
Yeah, definitely, because as we just talked about, we've got the older sort of staff are commanding more money. We've got less time available from them, as in there's less of them, so we've got less time for programming. So it's essential to have that sort of trainee staff to help sort of set and operate the machines. Do the day-to-day running of the machines, while we allow like the older, more skilled staff to do what they're good at, like
Yeah.
some of the programming and planning of the workshop. And then that means that the staff, the apprentices, get quickly trained up,
Yeah.
and then they move on as well. So it's not dead man's shoes really here. So it's just like we train somebody up. If they're showing a good skill set, then they might move on to the design side into the office, or they might
Yeah.
move on to site work, or they might move on to electrical. So as I say, we try to multi-skill
Yeah.
our workshop.
Which I'm guessing is really important to have that pathway that they can see, that they can not just be a machinist, they can move into design, they can move into other areas of the business, which again would help your retention, I'm guessing.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the way the software is going as well. So the programming software is not just CNC programming software anymore. It's expanding out to like Siemens NX software can start all the way back to the quoting and specification stage, all the way
Yeah.
through to the design stage, and then through to the production planning stage. So the software is multi-skilled as well. So yeah, we don't just pigeonhole into somebody into sort of CNC machining.
Well, good to hear. I mean, you referred to it before, but you've obviously got must have a number of employees that are potentially over 50. So how are you preparing for their potential retirement? And is it, have you got a lad? Is it more heading towards the retirement age, or is there a good balance?
So we're quite lucky where we've got like a fairly youthful workshop.
Yeah.
Maybe like like sort of guys in the 30s, early 40s. And then we've got, yes, but you're right, we have one or two that are sort of nearing retirement age. I think what we're trying to do is modernize the workflow, so we don't have to rely so heavily on the inherent knowledge of some of these older
Yeah.
workers. So an example today where we had a breakage of the drawbar inside of one of the CNC machine tools, and it's an old machine. Somebody has to sort of fix it. We've got an old guy that knows how to fix it. But what we're doing now is slowly replacing all the old machines with new CNCs, which have good engineering support from like the external support companies. So that sort of like niche skill we're trying to sort of engineer out of it, so to speak. But that's not to say that that skill isn't invaluable. It's been absolutely invaluable for years.
Yeah.
But to manage our own risk, we try to sort of keep ahead of the technology.
It's good that you've recognised that. So it sort of fits quite neatly into my last question for you. So obviously, with a lot of it's a very technical skilled job. What do you think it would be most critical for machinists in the next 5 to 10 years that are coming in, maybe starting their apprenticeship now or in the next 6 to 12 months?
So yeah, I was going to say one particular thing, but it's pretty much everything. So those base skills are absolutely necessary. So which is difficult to obtain nowadays because most machine shops are CNC. You might have one or two sort of manual machines sitting in the corner, but
Yeah.
those manual skills are absolutely imperative to know how you're doing, how you're cutting, whether the cutting quality is good. But then moving on from there, the skills are also more technical as well. I mentioned that broad strokes software suites that are coming out now where somebody's able to sort of simulate the program on the CAD. They're able to program it on the CAD. They're able to draw the thing on the CAD. So that expansion skill between not just programming, not just machining, but also being part of the whole design process as well. People
Sorry, Kevin. So you sound like you need to have not only the old school skills, but really up to date computer skills as well, potentially.
Yeah, well, the apprenticeship scheme is perfect for like people that want to learn those old school skills, but apprenticeship skills don't end there. So we've got apprentices here now, only in the second year, and they're on the CNCs, and and they're learning the programming already. But what we try to do is give them time on the manual lathe and the manual milling machine as well to just support that knowledge. For the machining.
Okay, I really appreciate that the insight you've given us there into your business and how apprentices are helping you, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
So just to move on to the next section, so we're looking at why would companies potentially use apprenticeships? So we obviously know from listening to Kevin that there's advantages to using apprentices in businesses. So apprentices will help reduce recruitment costs, improve retention, provide tailored talented pipeline service. You can hear from Williams Engineering, they're consistently year on year potentially putting apprentices in place, gives you a blank canvas to mold into the employee that you want as a business. So rather than getting somebody in that's potentially got bad habits, you're able to mold that person into how you want them in the workplace. There's obviously government incentives to take on apprentices. Between 95 and 100% of the training is covered, depending on the type of business that you are and the size of the business as well, making training more cost effective for employers. Plus, if you take somebody that's under 18, the government will give you £1,000 in the first year of their apprenticeship. So obviously, there's a good incentive there to take them on. In terms of outcomes, you can hear from Kevin that there's different ways that the apprentices can be put into action once they've finished their apprenticeship, because they gain relevant knowledge and experience while they're learning, and they're earning at the same time, and they can follow the career pathways that Kevin's mentioned. And also, not to forget, there's also degree level apprenticeships. So once they've done their level 3, they can move on to level 5 and 6 and potentially level 7. Also helps the workforce development in terms of apprenticeships, help businesses address the skill shortages and build a future-ready, resilient workforce, helping to cover the loss of experienced staff in retirement by having a clear succession plan. And we can hear from the horse's mouth with this morning with Kevin that sort of things being put in place, which is great to hear. So how do we recruit the right apprentice as a business? This is something in the last 12 months I've had a lot of conversations with businesses. So Kevin's is included in this. So we've said how can you be more effective? So an interview for me is now not just enough. It needs to be a robust recruitment process. So not just an interview, something as simple as having half a day or full day trial, pardon me, with the potential employee after a successful interview. So that gives you a chance then to see them in practice. Does their do they are they able to listen to instructions? Are they able to do the right type of work with the challenges that are being set? Helps them give an understanding of what the business looks like and how it works. So you're not taking somebody on in a week or 2 weeks into the business, into the job. Sorry, they decide, this isn't for me. I don't want to do it. It paints a clear picture for both parties. Businesses can be more visible to potential college and school leavers. How they can do that is high schools, especially in year 10, have work experience weeks in June where they're always looking for some companies to take on one or maybe more potential work experience people. I know this because my son's doing this, looking for business at the minute because he's in year 10. So local schools are always happy for companies to link up with. There's career fairs for schools and colleges, making yourself visible, more approachable. Go and see schools that are in your local area, have chats with them. I know my local school's got an MVQ in engineering this year. They're oversubscribed. They're desperate for companies to go and see them. So that inspires future engineers to take up apprenticeships and working with businesses. Use colleges and providers of pre-apprenticeships and study programs. At the Skills Centre in Trafford Park, we have a number of students every year that do the pre-apprenticeship in engineering. That's a 9-month engineering program. It allows learners to get the basics in engineering. Most are looking for work experience 2 days a week when not in college. You can offer them work trials. Again, it hits back what I said early on in terms of you getting someone to see how they work in the business. Obviously, if they're getting paid, they're more enthusiastic to do it as well. So it's a bit like a try before you buy trial. Gives you and potential apprentices a chance to see what both parties are like, whether it's working on the shop floor or in the business. I mean, Kevin alluded to this really well before. Having a really good career pathway, making apprentices understand that it's not just the apprenticeship once they've finished. There's other areas of the business that they can move into. I think it really helps retention when it comes to your potential apprentices, that they can see that it's not just the apprenticeship and on the shop floor. There may be management areas, project leaders. Kevin's mentioned going into CAD, going into other areas, sales in the business with that experience that you've got. I think it's really good and a clear good way of retaining employees once they've finished their apprenticeship. So as we've talked about apprenticeships, I thought it was a good idea to look at it from not just an employer's point of view, but also from our point of view in terms of the provider and the assessors. And it was a good insight into what that person who deals with apprentices day in, day out, what their view is on this. So I'd like to introduce Paul Howard into the webinar. Morning, Paul.
Morning, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. So, can you just explain for me very quickly what your role is within GC and what you actually do?
So I'm a work-based tutor over the engineering. So I look after the apprentices from recruiting all the way to endpoint assessments. So I tie in line with the qualification in centre, along with going out to the companies, making sure that all the knowledge, skills and behaviours are achieved as well.
Yeah, good. I take it you're enjoying the role currently. Every day is different, I take it.
Very different. So like everyone, I was an apprentice as well. So
Yeah.
even from being an apprentice, when my assessor was coming in, I was always like, that's a job I really want to get into.
Yeah.
So when I started climbing up the ladder myself, when I got into management myself, first thing I did was I got apprentices on board.
Good.
So it was filling that skill gap. So we do have an aging workforce. So we do need to fill the gaps. So you can see companies I'm going into, you can see 30-year gap between like the apprentices and then the higher skilled age workers.
Okay, that's good. I mean, you're giving us vital insight that most don't get, because you're sitting in between both parties, not only the provider, but you're seeing it from the business's point of view and the apprentice's point of view as well.
It was great to see when I did go into WIMS, or they do the age. It was a low age group inside WIMS, so it was great to see that you have put that investment into your younger staff.
Good. So in terms of then obviously your role and experience, what makes a successful engineering apprentice in your view?
So some of the best apprentices I've seen have always worked off a training plan. So if they were a machinist, they need to know where that part comes in. So it might be like purchasing the material for that part, the design of that part, all the way to purchasing it, to getting it delivered, to unloading it off the wagon itself. And then once they've machined it, seeing where it actually goes. So you get that full product knowledge. You get to see everything what the company is delivering and selling. So it is like you need to see the full spectrum of the job as well, not just that one part you're employing them to see.
Yeah. So in terms of an apprentice then, so would you say they need to be able to follow the instructions, that sort of thing?
So yeah, engineering is very tough, so you need a bit of resilience. So you need to keep at it. It's really hard at first. I remember coming home from my apprenticeship, I'd go straight to bed. I was that tired. But it just gets easier. You're 16 to 18, so you are very young. You've come from sitting down in school every day. So it's about the employers realizing that as well. So,
so quite a culture shock then.
Yeah, very much. So what I say to my apprentices is you need to show up on time. You need to be professional. I tell mine as well, like be ready at your bench with your overalls on, with your boots on. A couple of minutes can make you look more professional than showing up last minute.
Yeah.
And then putting your boots on as work started.
Yeah. So not only have you're able to see it from the apprentice's point of view, but also from a business's point of view, what mistakes do you think employers often make when recruiting apprentices?
So like the training plan, so not having a training plan in place. So taking the apprentice on, not giving them a mentor, and just believing that they'll just achieve it on their own. So I think, like we're saying, it's an aging workforce, so we need to share good practice. So like Kevin said, one of the machines has broke down, so that would have been a great time to show the apprentice exactly what to do with that going forward.
Yeah.
So it might not happen. It might happen every 10 years, that breakdown.
Yeah.
So then it's something what you can remember. So working off a training plan, so start to finish of the process of what happens in your business is great. Not using them for cheap labor as well.
Yeah.
So they are a great investment. So if you put the time and effort into them, you do get back high reward.
Yeah. So obviously, then once they've got the apprentice in place and they're happy with them, obviously you go in every 6 to 8 weeks and seeing them. Will they may come and do day release? But obviously, they need some sort of mentoring in the business. So what kind of mentoring or on the job support do you think the business needs to provide to help apprentices thrive?
So you always see as well, so apprentices that have a dedicated mentor always achieve higher, even when you pass the mentoring stage and you're confident that they are able to do some production. They've always got someone who they can go to.
Yeah.
So communication, so between myself, so say we are doing, say, health and safety in the college, we'll relate that back to the employer. So then we can embed it a bit more within the company itself as well.
Okay, that's good to hear. So, how valuable? Obviously, you understand our study program that we have here at the Skills Centre. How valuable do you think pre-apprenticeships or study programs are for potential candidates?
Very, very important, because I've worked at different training providers that don't have the pre-apprenticeship, and the confidence level when they're coming back in to do the apprenticeships is massive. They're coming up to you, they're engaging with you, they're happy with everything that's gone on. They feel like they've already picked the right career path rather than getting halfway down it and then affecting like retention rates or swapping over to other providers.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a pipeline, isn't it? So you start
Yeah.
at the start and then they
Yeah.
work their way down it. But the main one I've seen is confidence. So they're
Yeah.
asking more questions with their employers as well. They're already a bit ahead.
Yeah.
So then they are asking the right questions. They've got a bit more knowledge on, say, the health and safety side of it.
Yeah.
So they're
Well,
working a bit safer as well.
we've seen the ones from last year's study program that have gone into businesses this from September this year, and the difference already making is massive. So hopefully
I
we
agree.
can we can showcase that a bit more later on this year in
Yeah.
terms of doing a bit of going to see them and see how they're getting on and promoting that a little bit. It's been good to see recently on the day release when I go in on a Wednesday that the likes of Cameron and Mo from last year's study program are there. And they're
Definitely. Yeah.
enjoying where they are, and the businesses are really enjoying having them. So in terms of obviously we've got Kevin on, yourself. How can employers and training providers work together better, do you think, to close the skills gap?
So I think focus a bit more. So there's not just colleges, there's not just schools. There's probably like youth centres you could go to.
Yeah.
So I've seen most, like, they all play football, they all play rugby. You could go to different places, couldn't you, rather than
Yeah.
schools,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you could create more like a stronger calibration with other places rather than just focusing on schools.
Yeah. More of a community-based approach, you think?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the rugby club my lad's at, there's about 200 people there. So if you embed it early, it'll just like reoccur each year, won't it?
Yeah, yeah. Have you got any thoughts on that, Kevin, in terms of maybe employers and training providers working close together?
Yeah, so like you say, like we've worked recently with some local schools, and we've taken on like a work experience
Yeah.
people for like a short period, 2 weeks. But yeah, I think that's a good point about sort of other local groups. Some of the local sort of mountain bike groups around our area, those guys are just really into, like
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
like it's a natural progression into engineering, and they like tinkering with the bikes and the suspension and the gearing and things like that. And
Yeah.
some of the guys that we've had in here that are from the work experience, they're all interested in that kind of sort of. And they're all fit and healthy, and like they go out on the bikes all the time. And so yeah, the one guy I've got here at the moment now, he's in a local mountain bike group, and he's percolated the point that he's got a work experience place here. So then I've
Yeah.
just been inundated by all his mates who are also wanting to work. So you're right, it does breed itself after that. Once
Yeah.
you get into a certain I don't know, subsector of society, like
Yeah.
whether it's a club or a group or something.
I think it's thinking outside the box a little bit more in terms of how you're going to recruit. Doing it the old fashioned, or the not old fashioned, but the standard ways of doing things. Everyone's doing the same thing. So I sometimes think if you can think outside the box, approach it a little bit different. Whether it's approaching football clubs, mountain bike groups, just making yourself more visible in the local community. That'll just improve your visibility, and people will look for you if they're looking for engineering apprenticeships roles, that type of thing. I think the insights that you've given today from both areas, it's been really insightful, and hopefully the people that are going to be watching this will be able to take that on board. So I can't thank you enough for coming in today and giving us that insight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No problem. So, in terms of the next steps, if it's something that you're thinking about doing with your business, the next step for employers is to assess your skills need, look at your business, evaluate your current and future skills gaps to identify possible opportunity for apprenticeships in your organisation. Utilize the government funding, like I said before. There's you can get between 95 and 100% funding, depending on the type of business that you are. And also it reduces the cost and enhances investment. That's easy for me to say. Returns on your training, promote and support apprenticeships, making yourself more visible within the local community, like we said before. Actually promote your apprenticeship programs, and it'll ensure a strong ensure that you've got a strong onboarding and mentoring apprentice to create great apprentice success. So when we talk about the mentoring before in terms of the business, it may be able to give an employee that you've got a chance to flourish in another area that they might not have wanted to do before, and engage with local support organisations, partner with organisations like the Skills Company for recruitment that will help and get the right apprentice into your program. So we offer a free recruitment service. We'll come in and pre-screen the candidates. All you need to do is interview them. We find that's a really good way of that'll help us get the right apprentice in place. So if it's something that you've watched today and you think, I'd like to take the next steps and get involved. So in terms of getting in touch, scan the QR code, email business@gceducationandskills.ac.uk. Go on our look for us on social media, look at our website, get in contact with us, and we'll be able to help you with everything that you need in support. Thank you for today. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.